Alrighty guys, welcome back. Welcome to another adventure. This one's going to be a little bit different as far as some of the adventures you might have seen, but this is going to be a fishing adventure. With summer coming up, a lot of my friends have been asking, hey, what are some typical things that I need in order to get ready to go fishing? So this is going to be a 3-part video where I encompass kind of like what you need as far as some of the gear goes, kind of like some of the basics and answering some questions. The second part of the video is the different types of fishing that are going to be out there and the different poles that I have. And then the third part of this video is actually doing it, getting out there on the water and actually going and doing the fishing that I'll be talking about, all right? So let's start with the first part. What do you need in order to start fishing? Now let's say you're a beginner and you want to go out there and do some fishing. My tip for you is fishing doesn't need to break the bank. It's super easy to go out there and do fishing on a budget. This pole that I have right here, you saw in my favorite, my fishing poles video. This is my South Bend Ready to Fish R2F, the number 2, R2F Performance Series fishing pole. This is one of my favorite fishing poles. Now, I have on here simple rod and reel combo. When I purchased this, it came with a small little tackle box with some of the basic things that you need in order to get ready. So you just need, again, a simple fishing pole. This one I got at Walmart for $17, $18, something like that. So you need a pole and you need a backpack. So you're gonna have some stuff in there, carrying it around with you. I'm gonna show you some of the other things that you might need. And I have it all here in my backpack. So you're gonna need a towel. Sometimes your hands get messy and whatever. You don't want to deal with the fish. You might need some sun protection. So I've got these. These are Biffs. You wear them around your neck so you have neck protection, different things like that. Sunscreen as well. In here, I also have a pair of gardening gloves. These are, so if I don't have my towel on me, sometimes I usually just wear this. Sometimes the fish can get a little spiky. Sometimes you might catch a poisonous fish, like a scorpion fish. You don't want to touch those. I usually carry some gardening gloves. Don't get the fishing gloves, just get simple gardening gloves. They're cheaper and they've got the same hard rubber right here. So I think these are a little bit easier. You're gonna want just a simple tackle box. Inside your tackle is where you're gonna have all your goodies. I usually carry some extra hooks with me. So these hooks are a size 6. Again, purchased at Walmart. They're only like 99 cents a pack. So I usually stock up. You're gonna need some simple weights. One of my personal favorites is this guy right here. It's a little bullet weight. It comes with a little loop on top right here. So that's where you can tie your line depending on what kind of setup you want. There's also this kind right here. So there's a split shot or a cinch weight where you basically just put the line right through here and pull it up and the weight just sits and dangles like that. So these are some of my personal favorite kinds of weights that I have. You might want a pair of nail clippers to clip the line or just carry a knife. Your personal choice, very simple. Use your tackle box to kind of carry everything in. I usually get a nice small one like this to put all my gear. As far as the fishing line goes on my rod here, this one I have on my line is a 10-pound line, 10-pound test. I usually find that whatever I catch, my line doesn't break when I have the 10-pound test on my fishing line. So fishing rod, line, simple tackle, weights, and a backpack, sunscreen, hat, sunglasses, sunblock, things like that. And you're ready just to go and hit the water. Now I do have other setups as far as different types of fishing poles. If you're just going out there for a basic day on the water and you're going to the pier or something like that, this setup is super great. If you're doing some other types of fishing, it depends on what kind of pole you need. If you're doing surf fishing, you're gonna wanna get a bigger pole. So this is my surf fishing pole here. Doesn't have to break the bank. I purchased this one at Walmart. This is a Shakespeare Tiger fishing rod. The way that I have this set up is on the end, my fishing line I have tied right here. I've tied it to a 2-foot long wire leader. At the end, I have a 1-ounce pyramid sinker. And then you're gonna notice these 2 little doodads kind of floating them to the side. This is where I've placed my hooks. So with just a simple, easy unhook from the swivel here, I put 2 hooks on and I'm ready to go. Now the other pole that I have is my bait caster. This is my Abu Garcia bait caster combo reel. I purchased this one at Dick's Sporting Goods. You'll see the reel here. It's gonna look a little bit different than the other two that I have. And then it goes. This one doesn't collapse. It stays at full length like this. I think this one's maybe 6.5 feet, maybe 7 feet long. This one is another great fishing pole too. So with the bait caster, you're gonna be casting out and reeling in, casting out, reeling in, casting out, reeling in. Depending on what kind of fishing you do, if this is more fun for you, then by all means get a bait caster. Sometimes with a rod and reel, you can do that depending on how you want to set up and do your line or set up with like your different baits and lures and stuff like that. First one is, do I need a permit? Yes and no. So depending on where you're fishing, you do need a permit. If you're fishing from a pier, you usually don't need a permit. If you do fishing where you're surf fishing, or if you're off the banks, off rocks, anything like that, you do need a permit. Now, there's a reason why I also kind of said yes and no to this question. There are 2 days out of the year where the fishing game do free fishing days. Now this year it's July 6th and August 31st. They're both Saturdays. You don't need a permit to fish on these days, so you can fish anywhere you'd like without a permit. Now this is for 2019. You always want to make sure you look at Fish and Game's website. Now the big question as far as when you're going fishing is, what kind of bait do I use? You can use 2 different types of bait. Frozen, so things like anchovies, mackerel, clams, mussels, or you can use a lure. Now there's pros and cons to each one, and I'm not gonna get into it. But for me personally, I did a video where I went out there and I used lure versus frozen bait. And I'll link that up above so you can see that and you can watch that on your own time. But for me personally, I like using frozen bait, and this is why. All the fish that are in the ocean eat other fish. So with that being said, I use frozen because it's what they find naturally in their environment in the ocean. Now with the lure, there is a specific one that I like to use. This is my War Baits lure, 3/8 ounce with an underspin. There's that right there. You'll see the underspin here. I've tied my line to the top. There's a little hook there, and I have a little lure on here. So you can do these, which are the plastic soft lures, or I've got in here my Berkeley Gulp lures. Now Berkeley Gulp is fun. You'll notice that I have Ziploc on Ziploc on Ziploc on Ziploc. Their juice, or their little like liquid that they sit in, does not smell fun, and it sucks to get it on your clothes. But I've got chartreuse, swimming mullets in here, sand crabs, ghost shrimp, things like that are all inside here. So there's lures and frozen bait. Frozen bait, I use anchovies, I've used mussels, I've used clams. So those are my personal favorite go-to as far as different baits and lures go to. I personally think this is one of the biggest debates and conversations out there in the fishing world, whether you use frozen or whether you use lures. When is the best time to go fishing? Everyone will swear by it. The best time to go fishing is before the sun rises, right about early morning, and then right around early dusk, evening time, the golden hour, as some people like to call it. For me, fishing is fishing. You go out there, enjoy the water, get some rest and relaxation. So another question that I got is, how do I set up the rod? Now here I've got my South Bend Ready to Fish fishing pole. I'm going to show you how I've set this one up. It's very, very simple. This guy here, I've got it set up with a fish finder or like a Carolina rig as far as my hook setup goes. So I've tied the weight here using a simple cinch knot. And then down on the very end, I've got that snell hook that I showed you earlier. I've tied it right there. And the hook dangles down on the end here. The next question that I got is keeping a fish and eating it. Now there's a lot of different rules about this. So here is what I found off the Fish and Wildlife website. At any time when you're fishing, you can have 5 fish of any species in your possession at a time. When you're fishing, the minimum size is 14 inches. The minimum size is 14 inches. So that's from the nose to the middle part of the tail. There is the alternative length of the fish where you can start at the middle where the top dorsal is and go to the end of the tail. That has to be 10 inches. So depending on how you're measuring your fish, whether it be the length of the fish from the nose to the tail, or the alternative length from the top of the dorsal, from the start of the dorsal to the very end, that has to be 10 inches. Another question that I got from a friend is, how do you not get your line tangled? Now, this is a big pet peeve of mine. How do you not get your line tangled? Sometimes when you're fishing off the banks, off the rocks and stuff like that, it's a little hard because you're going with the current of the water, but it's all about fishing and your angler's just awareness. This is one of my biggest pet peeves when I'm out fishing, because I'll be out on the Shelter Island Pier in San Diego, or I'll be in the small fishing dock up in Oceanside Harbor, and no one will pay attention to their line. Currents move, currents always change. And this is one thing that pisses me off, is because I'll be standing here, but the guy who's down here, their fishing line and the current has picked it up and it's moved in front of me. So when I go to cast straight out, I'm casting on top of their line. Fishermen, take note. Be aware of where your line is all the time. I'm not saying don't have fun. You can have fun, talk with your friends and enjoy the time, but always be aware of where your line is, because I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten tangled and caught up in someone's line, and it's one of my biggest pet peeves. How deep do you have to bend and snap to get the big one? Now, I'm not sure if you're talking about bend and snap from Legally Blonde, but with me, I usually use this simple setup as far as this fish finder with a weight here, hook on the end. I've caught anything from a simple little spotted bay bass about this big to a 15-inch spotted bay bass. So it all kind of depends on where you're fishing, the time of day, and whether fish are in the area or not. Sometimes you might go out there and you might not catch anything at all, which is totally okay. Keep that in mind. It's totally okay if you don't catch a fish. Last question that I have that I got from a friend in regards to Fishing 101, can I come too? Yes, I love fishing with people. So if you want to come fishing with me, let me know. We'll set up a time when I'm free and let's go fishing. I lied. I just checked my Instagram and I actually got one more question in regards to fishing. Why am I just the cutest? I don't know. I just am. That's me just being conceited, but you know what? I just am. I don't know. All right. So thank you so much for watching this video. Again, this is a 3-part series, so this is just part 1. Part 2, we're going to talk about the different types of fishing. So whether you're fishing from the banks or the rocks, to pier, surf fishing, and boat fishing. And in video 3, I'm going to show you how to actually do it. All right, so stay tuned. Wait for those videos to come out in a couple weeks. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, please like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am a lifestyle vlog where I do a lot of different things, so I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching this video. And on to part 2.